Have you ever sat in a room full of people, laughter echoing, glasses clinking, yet felt a quiet storm under your ribs, like you're performing yourself, a man sculpted to seem fine, while something raw and unspoken coils in your chest? You tell the jokes at just the right moment. You nod at the compliments. You keep your shoulders square, but no one notices how tightly you're gripping the underside of the table. No one notices the weight pressed into your lungs when you finally exhale alone. What if the more control you show, the more you're quietly unraveling inside? What if all that silence isn't strength, but surrender? Would you even recognize it? Here's the paradox. Most men who avoid their feelings don't look like they're struggling. They seem calm, sharp, reliable, admired. But there's a cost, a slow erosion of connection, health, even self-respect. Tonight, we're going to uncover the 6 subtle ways a man avoids his real emotions. Not the obvious ones, but the quiet betrayals you might not even see in yourself until it's too late. Because the truth is, no matter how well you hide, the body keeps score, and eventually the walls you've built will collapse. So, which of these signs are already living in you? Let's begin. You wake up on Monday and already feel the weight. You shower, you dress, you move through the day like a man made of stone. You answer emails, finish tasks, smile at the right times. But somewhere under your ribs, something tight refuses to let go. It's a quiet kind of exhaustion, the kind no amount of sleep or coffee can fix. Maybe you've noticed it when you're alone at night, scrolling endlessly, the silence growing louder, or when you catch yourself avoiding eye contact, even in the mirror, or when anger flares over nothing, like a match striking in your chest, but you can't name what you're really mad at. This is what emotional avoidance feels like. Not dramatic breakdowns, but quiet disconnections from yourself, from others. It can look like overworking, withdrawing, joking too much, or simply feeling nothing at all. And here's the hardest part. Society applauds it. You're told to man up, stay strong, keep your cool. No one tells you what it costs to bury your feelings alive, how they find other ways to surface, through your body, your relationships, your health. So pause and ask yourself, what would it feel like to stop holding it all in, even for one breath? We're going to dig deeper, and what we'll uncover might surprise you. Why does a man hide from his own emotions, even when he knows they're eating him alive? It's not because he's weak, it's because, somewhere along the way, he was taught that feeling equals failure. Attachment theory calls it avoidant adaptation, learned early, when showing hurt meant being ignored or shamed. So you stop reaching out, you stop crying, you build armor from silence. It works at first, but as an adult, that armor becomes a cage, and science proves it. In a 2017 study at the University of Texas, researchers asked men to suppress their emotions during a stressful conversation. One participant, Daniel, 34, married, accountant, sat in the clinic's sterile room, palms sweating, as he spoke about his father. He clenched his jaw, deflected with humor, and said he was fine. But the heart monitor told another story. His pulse surged, cortisol spiked, blood pressure climbed. When they encouraged him to simply name what he felt, hurt, sad, betrayed, his body calmed. His hands stopped trembling. He left that day saying, "I didn't know naming it would feel like letting it go." This is what the emotional suppression model shows. Unspoken feelings don't die. They live in the body, fueling stress and illness. Or as Rollo May wrote, when we deny our anxiety, we invite it to rule us from the shadows. The armor you wear, it protects you for a season, but at a cost you may not see until much later. So what if, instead of fighting your feelings, you learn to feel them without fear? Sign 1. Over-intellectualizing feelings. Here's where it begins. In the mind, you convince yourself that feelings are just problems to solve. So you name them as concepts, dissect them, analyze them, but never actually feel them. It's like standing outside in the rain with an umbrella and saying, ah yes, precipitation, but never letting yourself get wet. This is over-intellectualizing, hiding behind logic, words and plans, because stepping into the raw feeling feels too dangerous. David once said he could write a thesis on why he was hurt, but never simply said, I'm hurt, and it shows up everywhere. Explaining anger instead of owning it, debating sadness instead of sitting with it, rationalizing loneliness instead of letting yourself be needed. The truth, naming without feeling, is just another cage. Prettier maybe, but still a cage. It reminds me of this metaphor: a cracked dam, holding back a dark lake. The man keeps patching cracks with tape, measuring water levels, writing reports, but inside, the lake only grows heavier, until it finally bursts through. So, if your thoughts are your armor, what are you protecting? And what if you put the armor down, even for a moment? Because when you overthink your feelings, you postpone your own healing. In the next sign, some men hide, not behind thoughts, but behind laughter. Sign 2. Humor as armor. Sometimes the loudest laughter in the room comes from the man hurting the most. He learns to weaponize humor. Every joke another brick in his wall, every punchline a distraction from what he can't say. It's like painting cracks in the ceiling with gold, beautiful on the surface, but beneath, the foundation still groans. You might find a man like Sam at a dinner party, making his whole table roar with laughter as he jokes about his divorce papers. But when everyone turns back to their drinks, his friend notices his hands under the table, gripping his knees, knuckles white. This is what avoidant attachment often looks like. Fear of vulnerability wrapped in charm. He keeps it light. He keeps it funny, because to be serious would mean to feel, and to feel might mean to fall apart. Humor has its place, but when it becomes your only language, you forget how to speak your truth. So here's a question for you. What's the unspoken story hiding beneath the laugh you give too easily? The one that tastes a little bitter, even as it leaves your lips, because what we pretend to laugh at is often what hurts us most. Sign 3. Overworking and productivity obsession. Some men turn their lives into treadmills, running endlessly from what waits in stillness. It looks like ambition. The last man at the office, the first at the gym, the never still. James stayed at his desk past midnight, not because of passion, but because silence scared him more than exhaustion. Maslow once noted, unmet emotional needs can masquerade as ambition. So ask yourself, what dream, what relationship, what part of yourself is left starving, just so you can keep moving? Sign 4. Anger as default emotion. When hurt feels too raw to admit, many men convert it into anger. Loud, sharp, blinding. In traffic, Tom yelled until his throat hurt, yet beneath it was just a quiet grief he couldn't name. Cognitive behavioral therapy shows how misreading feelings as threats triggers this reaction. What tender truth have you buried beneath your fury? Sign 5. Being the caretaker. Some men wear their strength in the form of service, solving others' problems, being everyone's rock. Adam was known as the dependable one, fixing others' crises, carrying their pain, while his own loneliness deepened quietly. Brené Brown calls this the vulnerability paradox, giving support, yet never receiving it. If you always care for others, but never allow them to care for yourself, what part of you still waits, unnoticed? Sign 6. Perfectionism and control. And some men cope by gripping life too tightly, perfecting every detail, terrified to let go. It's like walking a tightrope over a canyon of feelings. Every step rigid, every breath calculated. Daniel became obsessed with his work, his image, his body, because chaos beneath felt unbearable. Rollo May wrote, the opposite of courage is conformity. Control feels like safety, but it's fear dressed in ambition. If you loosened your grip, even slightly, what might you finally feel? But by now, You've seen yourself in at least one of these signs. Maybe more. Maybe you've laughed when you wanted to cry, worked yourself numb, or held your tongue until it burned your throat. And if you're honest, what has it really cost you? What connection? What peace? What breath? Take a moment. Write just one word in the comments. The word for what you've been hiding behind. No explanation needed. Just the word. And know this. Even that small honesty is a start. And if you're still here, it means you're ready to step closer to yourself. That deserves more than silence. Stay with me, because next, we'll peel back the layers without falling apart. So, what now? How does a man begin to feel what he's buried for so long, without it crushing him? The answer is not to bulldoze through emotions, but to meet them where they already live, with honesty and compassion. Here are 3 powerful practices from modern psychology to help you step toward yourself. First, name it. Paul Ekman's research shows that simply labeling what you feel loosens its grip. Write it. Say it aloud. Let the word exist outside your body, like light in a dark room. Second, treat yourself like someone you care about. Kristin Neff calls this self-compassion, speaking to yourself as you would to a friend. When the storm rises, soften your voice. Extend the kindness you've given everyone else to yourself. Third, take one safe step outward. Viktor Frankl reminds us, in the depth of pain lies the seed of meaning. Call someone you trust. Confess even a sliver of the truth. Connection softens the sharpest edges. It won't feel like courage at first. It may feel like betrayal of the silence you've worn as armor. Shame will whisper, "What will they think of you?" That's normal. Jean-Paul Sartre called this bad faith, living in a lie to avoid your freedom. But vulnerability isn't what breaks you, it's what makes you real. When Alex finally admitted to his brother he was struggling, his voice shook. But afterward he said, "For the first time, I could finally breathe." The first breath of honesty burns, but it also tastes like home. Look at how far you've come. Just by listening, you've already begun the hardest part, seeing yourself. Tonight, we uncovered 8 quiet ways a man avoids his emotions. We walked through the overthinking that cages you, the jokes that cut deeper than they land, the silence that freezes your connections, the endless work that keeps you from your own heart, the anger that hides your grief, the screens and bottles that dull the ache, the caretaking that empties you, and the perfectionism that keeps you teetering on a wire. Each of these was never a weakness, just a misguided way to stay safe. But safety is not the same as living. So here's your final reflection. What if the courage you need is simply to feel what's already inside? If that question stirs something in you, let it out. Write just one thought in the comments. Your word might help someone else find theirs. And if you're ready to keep peeling back the layers, subscribe. There's more to uncover. In the next video, we'll talk about the manipulative patterns no one dares to name, and how they might already be shaping your life. And remember, as Aristotle said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. You are watching Psychosophy, where psychology meets philosophy.